What's up, gamers? I'm your host, KOBRA, and today I'm sharing the best Pidgeot deck around. Introducing the Route 1 deck. Why Route 1? Because that's where you find Pidgey in the grass, of course. Pidgeot is an OG favorite of mine, so when Mythical Island brought us an EX version, I started exploring lots of fun deck setups right away. Most of them are really decent because Pidgeot EX is an excellent sweeper, but grass is the best fit. Let me tell you why. Stage 2s can be a bit tricky, and Pidgeot EX is definitely a Stage 2 Pokemon, but it only requires 3 energy to come fully online. Grass has a lot of really fun tools, including the strongest opening Pokemon in the game in Exeggutar EX, but it lacks a consistent sweeper to be a top tier deck. Enter Pidgeot EX. Maximizing Pidgeot EX means we don't just want to stall while we search for the pieces, we also really want to be able to pick up the very first point in the game. And that's because Pidgeot loves the Pokemon Flute, but you need something to bring back first. Druddigon is an awesome opener, but opponents generally aren't going to knock out their own Pokemon very often, which means we need something else to get that first point. Gyarados requires 2 hits to clear, but so does our Pidgeot. We either need a way to clean up Gyarados after it kills our Pidgeot, or we need a way to make the first attack into Gyarados. We could run Fire and Water energy with Druddigon and simply power it up, but 3 energy and 2 different types of energy can just be a little bit too slow for that to be effective all the time. We could also run Kangaskhan, as he can definitely get some early knockouts with some lucky flips. But Exeggutar just is flat out better at this role. It also gives us the option to sneak in a Celebi EX as well. Celebi stalls and can retreat for free with XP, very similar to Mew EX, but it only requires 2 energy to provide some pressure as well. And in a pinch, you can always try to high roll finish with Celebi as well. You could alternatively run a baby Exeggutar in that spot for better odds to open with Exeggutar, but I prefer a 5th basic. Kangaskhan could definitely sub in for Celebi though if you prefer. The other benefit of running grass with our Pidgeot EX deck is Erica, which makes Exeggutar EX effectively a 210 HP Pokemon. That's honestly why I like Exeggutar better than Weezing or Druddigon or any of the other popular walls to open up the game. It is kind of close with Weezing though, because Koga gives a similar type of benefit. Not running Sabrina in this deck might feel a little bit awkward, and if you really want to, feel free to sub in Sabrina for a 2nd Leaf. But the reality is that Pocket players are conditioned to play around Sabrina because she's been around since the beginning, and doing so requires filling up their bench, which is exactly what our Pidgeot EX wants them to do anyways. In a tournament format, however, we might prefer Sabrina or even a copy of Giovanni over the 2nd copy of Leaf, just to present some additional problems for our opponent to have to play around. Okay, let's dive into a recent match into a meta Pikachu. This is a great highlight for our Route 1 deck because Pikachu presents a few problems. There are not a lot of decks that can go just as fast as Exeggutar can. Pikachu is one of them. Pidgey and its entire line is also weak to electric type attacks, which presents another early challenge for us. But if we're able to survive the early game into Pikachu, Pidgeot absolutely wrecks house, and things will change quickly if that happens. Let's see how this one goes. We are on the play into Pikachu, and that's a rough spot for most decks, but we actually really like this spot when we get to go first and open with Exeggcute. They open with Blitzel. We don't have our Exeggutar yet, so this isn't an ideal start. We do find our Pidgey though, so we decide to get him down. We've got Pidgeotto in hand, so it's not the end of the world if they have Zebstrika on curve. and hit our Pidgey. They do have Zebstrika on curve, and they do hit our Pidgey. Not a big surprise, but this does put some pressure on us to find Exeggutar quickly. Luckily, it's our next card. Time to start pressuring up front. We play our stage 1s, power our Exeggutar, and this really should force them to retreat their Zebstrika. However, they decide to take a different line. They try a Tempo Sabrina to slow us down a little bit here. They do this because they know they're actually in quite a lot of trouble if I have Pidgeot on curve. We don't, but they don't know that. It's also not great for us if they can get an easy point here, but they don't have a guaranteed way to knock out our Execute. So they hit Pidgeotto one more time and hope that they can hang on. This is not a very effective play in this spot because we are holding X speed. That allows us to switch our Exeggutar right back in. It didn't take any damage on the last turn. Zebstrika goes down, and we simply need to draw Pidgeot before our Exeggutar dies, and we win this game. Celebi is actually perfect here and highlights exactly why it's in the deck. Drawing Pidgeot, of course, would be better, but Celebi buys us extra time because it can tank a hit from Pikachu, plus is easy to retreat later on. They have a Heliodisc ready to go and move it to the front line. That's a pretty uncommon choice for this deck, but it actually does present a little bit of an awkward spot for us. They knock Exeggutar down to 100 HP, and that means that with a Giovanni in hand, their Pikachu can clear our Exeggutar next turn. Not ideal, but luckily for us, we've drawn Celebi, and Celebi can tank at least one hit from Pikachu if needed. We miss our next draw here, but that's okay. Assuming our Exeggutar goes down on the next turn, which is likely, we still get 2 more tries to draw for our Pidgeot. We could also hit a second Exeggutar and stall for an additional turn as well. Now, if we had hit Pidgeot earlier, none of this stalling would actually be necessary. Pikachu only has Zapdos to threaten a KO on Pidgeot, and that requires 3 energy and 3 out of 4 heads. Not easy. And he does have Giovanni, so down goes our Exeggutar. We're back on the clock. We switch in our Celebi, and we find our Pidgeot EX. Game over. Pikachu requires a full bench to do full damage. That means that Pidgeot is ready to do full damage as well. We play our Leaf, evolve our Pidgeot, and swing for 140. Good game, Pikachu.